Hey everyone, it's Caleb here. If you are a millennial, a Gen Z, or a younger Gen X, or even someone closer to retirement age, I want you to be honest with me. Do you actually believe you'll be able to retire comfortably the same way your parents or your grandparents did? Because the math is not looking very good. Back in the day, people said you needed about $2 million to retire comfortably. And today's surveys show people they think they need closer to 1.5 to 2 million in the US and similar numbers elsewhere, like here in Canada or Australia. But the actual number is a lot higher than that. It's almost like 4 to 6 million. And here's something all of you would be really familiar with is that the housing costs have absolutely exploded, right? Like in the early 80s, the average house here in Canada was under $100,000. Today, the national average is over 700,000. And in major cities, it's a lot worse, right? Like the same story in the States and many other places, right? The medium house in the States was around 60 to $70,000, and today it's actually sitting over 400 grand nationally, right? And likewise in the bigger cities, it's a lot much higher than that, of course, right? And it used to take someone a few years to save for a down payment. And now in places like Toronto, Vancouver, LA, or New York, it can take 10 to 15 years just to save for the down payment on a starter home, right? Like back then, a student could work part time, pay for school, rent, groceries, and still have something left. And now most young people need two jobs just to survive. And they are graduating with massive student loan debt that follows them for decades. And the worst part is that even if you do everything right, go to school, get a good job, save aggressively, AI and automation are coming for a lot of those jobs, right? I have a friend and he's a programmer and he told me 65% of his job now is just reviewing code that AI wrote. Like traditional retirement was built on slow and steady compounding interest. You know, you put money into the S&P 500, you get 7, 10% a year, and after 30, 35 years, you could hopefully live off of it, right? But with the real cost of living rising so fast, especially housing and healthcare, that plan is breaking for most people under 45. The amount you actually need to retire comfortably just keeps climbing, and most people simply aren't going to hit those numbers in their lifetime. So then what comes next? Well, we're watching something completely new happen in real time right now, and that is that there are AI powered trading bots. There are now generating yields that absolutely blow traditional finance out of the water. Like we're talking consistent daily returns that were considered impossible just a few years ago. 15% a month type stuff, right? And at the same time, blockchain is changing how money actually even works. Banks and institutions are moving onto blockchain rails. The stable coins are just exploding. And the new legislation, like the Clarity Act and the Genius Act in the US, is opening the door for banks to offer real yield on stablecoins, digital assets, Ripple and XRP, Stellar, right? And other projects have been talking about tokenized real world assets and global payment systems for years, right? So that infrastructure is finally starting to get built. And here's where it gets really interesting. If AI is replacing jobs and driving massive productivity gains, but those gains aren't flowing to regular people, society has a problem, a big one. And governments are eventually going to have to figure out how to redistribute some of that wealth, whether that's through, you've heard it before, universal basic income, okay, new pension systems, a tax on AI companies, or something maybe that we haven't even named yet. And the rails for that future system are very likely going to be built on blockchain technology and with stablecoins. But here's kind of where it gets a little scary, okay? So most countries are already building the infrastructure for that future already, right? According to the Atlantic Council's CBDC tracker, as of May 2026, 146 countries and currency unions representing over get this, 98% of global GDP are actively exploring or developing central bank digital currencies. So, like, you can go check this out yourself at the atlanticcouncil.org CBDC tracker. Go check it out, okay? The map is actually pretty insane. And Ripple is helping multiple governments build these CBDCs. And so off the cuff, there are some benefits to this, right? Like, you could theoretically get paid daily instead of waiting for bi-weekly paychecks. Cross-border payments could become instant and cheap. But let's be real here, okay? That's not the main goal, right? CBDCs are programmable money. That means they can decide what you can spend it on, right? And when you can spend it, and even make it expire. And remember the trucker protests here in Canada? We won't talk too much about it, but the government froze bank accounts of people who donated to a peaceful protest. And with CBDC, they wouldn't even need to freeze accounts. They could just turn your spending off, right? And that's been the plan, in my opinion, all along, right? Like, hasn't it? How many times have these so-called conspiracy theorists ended up being kind of right? They said that, the C virus came from a lab in, Wuhan that was called a crazy conspiracy for years. Turns out it probably did. And people raised concerns about the adverse side effects, also labeled a conspiracy. And then later on, they were quietly admitted that there was actually real ill effects, especially for healthy people. And hey, don't get me started on Pearl Harbor, okay? The government knew an attack was coming. They left the weakest third of the fleet there as bait, pulled the rest out to safety, and let it happen so America would enter the war and go help Europe, right? They basically admitted it decades later, okay? You can go check it out for yourself. I didn't make up, okay? Governments lie to their people all the time, okay? They always have. And sometimes they make hard strategic choices, like in World War II, where they had to sacrifice some soldiers or something as a distraction on one of the beaches during D-Day, so the main forces could, they could land somewhere else, okay? They sent men knowingly to die because it was necessary to win the bigger battle. And it's kind of a game of chess. So you sacrifice some pawns and sometimes even bigger pieces, right, to protect the king and to win the game, okay? But I don't want to be a pawn on their board, and I don't think you do either. And I don't want to live in a world where my ability to buy food, pay rent, or support a cause depends on whether the government at the time approves my views, my religion, my social media posts, right? And we're already seeing police in the UK and Ontario knocking on doors, even in Canada a little bit now, over some type of online speech. Hopefully this stays up. I don't know. We'll find out. But now imagine that power tied directly to your money, okay? This goes way beyond freezing bank accounts. Imagine this, okay? Every citizen gets allotted a certain number of carbon credits per year. Okay, you want to buy a plane ticket? Well, buddy, that's going to cost some carbon credits. Like, you want to buy a steak? That costs carbon credits too, right? If you run out, you just have to go buy more credits just to live your life and for the environment or whatever they say, right? But we all know what it really is, right? It's for control. And we've already seen it during COVID because, I chose not to get a jab, right? And I wasn't allowed to go to the gym, a movie theater, or really anywhere. And I was ostracized from society. And that is a form of punishment, right? It's the same psychological isolation they use in prisons when the prisoner acts out, right? They put them in solitary confinement to break them down mentally in their brains, and being separated from society is its own form of punishment, okay? So now combine that with a social credit score like they have in China. You miss too many payments, you say the wrong thing online, you get too many speeding tickets, and then, suddenly your CBDC wallet won't let you buy alcohol, call an Uber, go to the bar. There already do versions of this, okay? Like, there's a bit of a sin tax you got over there in Australia and other places, and CBDCs just make it instant and total. And this is the new world order we've been hearing about for decades. And I guess the scary part is once you're fully locked into their system, it's going to be almost impossible to get out. And this might be the last generation that still has a real window to position themselves outside of it. And this is why I'm so focused on this space in crypto, right? It's not just about making money, right? It's about positioning yourself in the new financial system that's being built while the old one is slowly breaking down, and staying outside of whoever their control is, right? And while you still can, and yeah, please remember, this is just my 2 cents. Maybe I'm reading a little bit like too deep into it, but hey, better to be a warrior in a garden than a gardener in a war, right? And if this video made you think a little bit outside the box, drop a comment and tell me, do you still believe in the traditional retirement dream, or do you think we're headed towards something completely different? I really do believe that blockchain XRP, this is like the asset class that we can actually really get outside of this system. And hey, if you like videos like this, or you just, you want to dive deeper into it, just throw a like on this video, comment and subscribe. I really appreciate you guys. And as always, all right, I will catch you in the next one. But before I do, please be blessed and stay positive. See ya.